Hello and welcome to St. Louis on Stage this week, where we try to talk about all the great things happening in St. Louis theater. If you have not checked this out, you want to go to stlouisonstage.com and join all our social medias and check out what we have to offer. We're trying to offer something for if you're looking for work in theater as an actor or a technician, you can. If you're a theater company looking for an audience, if you're an audience looking for a theater, we're going to try to put you all together so you can enjoy all we have to do. Today we have returning Robert's on the show again. How are you, Robert?
Hey, I'm fine. Thanks for
Fantastic.
asking me to come back. I had so much fun last week. Glad to be
I
here
did
today.
too. I really did. And I've loved the response to everything. So that's great. Okay. I'm going to give this a try here. Talk a little bit about Sweeney Todd here. So Sweeney Todd is our show for this week. It was produced at Fly North Theatrical. So let me see. I'm losing my place. Dagnabbit. Yeah, Fly North Theatrical's production of Sweeney Todd, Stephen Sondheim's dark and powerful musical about revenge, obsession, injustice, and some very unfortunate meat pies, with music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim and a book by Hugh Wheeler. Sweeney Todd opened on Broadway in 1979, and it won 8 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. Its combination of musical complexity, dark comedy, humor, and tragedy has made it one of Sondheim's most admired works. So we have a lot to talk about a show like this. Sondheim's not exactly Mary Poppins.
Not easy. Yeah.
No, it's a very challenging show. Now, the first thing I think you have to talk about with anything at Fly North Theatricals is the space.
Right.
Now, have you seen productions there before?
I think this is either my third or fourth production I've seen. I've seen several things there.
So
So I'm used to the space. The one
now,
thing I
do they
would
always do it lengthwise like that? Is it always on people seated on? Is it? Do they do it like a black box space that shifts around, or is it always?
so far, everything I've seen has been the way Sweeney is.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you on that, but
No, that's
trying to
fine. So
picture this.
so at least the shows I've seen, let's see, I saw Madam, I saw Little Miss Sunshine. I've seen, I think maybe 4 things there. And it's always been set up the same way, which I will say to people, if you haven't been there for the first time, it's an interesting setup. It's not regular theater seats, okay? It could be your grandmother's dining room
Yeah.
table seat, it
Oh,
could
right.
be a sofa, it could be a couch. So if you have lower back problems like I do, I suggest getting there early because you might want to sit your behind in 2 or 3 different seats and see which
And
one is
see what's
gonna
comfortable.
what's gonna be the best for you, because
Absolutely.
there are different kinds of seats there, and some of them are harder, some of them are softer,
And
um
it's a blessing and a curse, because I've been in theaters
yep.
where, well,
Hmm.
there's some that are in a church where you're literally on a wooden bench and you have no choice. But in
You
this
have
one,
no choice at all.
it's
You have
not a
no choice at
cushy,
all.
nice, expensive theater seat,
No,
but it's also
no,
not a wood bench if you're smart. Yeah, just
right.
choose your seat wisely. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Uh-huh. Right.
But I personally love black box theater. I mean, I teach
Hmm.
middle school, and for years I did a black box in my classroom, which is a
Hmm.
large classroom. We could seat 100, but we did seat it
Wow.
always different ways. We did traverse with audience on both sides. We did
Hmm.
um, around in the round. And then we just chose different walls, one's long and one's short. So that's why I was particularly curious, because I didn't ever want to make a choice just because I thought it would be cool if a show lended itself to that, you know. Now, I thought the space was used quite well. I mean, I think you always have questions about any type of odd space. Like, why did they
Hmm.
choose this? Why did they choose this? They fit it all in. I would actually argue I was stage house right,
I was
very
house
forward.
left. Okay. Hmm.
And the very beginning, before they pulled a curtain, it was kind of like, I hope the views don't like this the whole time. And then just minutes in, I could see everything. So
So here's my question for
yeah.
you then, because this was a comment that I heard some people in intermission make who were seated house right. As I said, I was seated house
Mhm.
left. So um, when Joanna sings Greenfinch, Linnet Bird, could you see her as she was singing?
I could see her at all times.
Okay. Um, because then later, when I could relate to that, the house right, um, there are like these little passageways,
Yeah.
and that's where the insane asylum is. And for me, Joanna was entirely lost
That was
in
okay,
those
right.
moments.
Behind you, pretty much, right? Isn't
Uh-huh,
it?
right.
Yeah.
Would be on the other side of the theater and behind me. Again, they did not keep her there for all that
That's what I
long.
was gonna say. They did tend to use the stage because I wasn't at the beginning of when they were singing about uh, the types of pies, but then when they brought it stage left. They utilized the whole stage, and I would
Right.
say, yeah, up there was a little farther for every because it kinda went into the audience where audience members were blocking me from seeing some of it, but not all of it.
Right. Were you able to see the meat grinder? Because I felt like, again, that was house left, and I felt like that was very far back. That was almost right by the entrance to the bar.
Yeah, I don't hmm. I know I mean, I know the show well enough, even though
Right.
I haven't seen it live until this time actually, but, um, there was no point when I was like, "I've lost the story. I'm this is terrible."
Right. And that's what
Then
matters.
yeah, those were shorter moments. One thing I was gonna bring up while we're talking about that before we get into the performance itself, the ladder, I think they used incredibly well with the love song. It was almost like it's a danger to use it too much, but I thought they used it and then they'd stop and they'd use it for a while and then it would move, and I didn't think it was intrusive, but it allowed for a lot of storytelling, and, when you see them yeah, anyway,
It
what were you
allowed for a lot of storytelling. I just had to get over my initial West Side Story moment.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, it's Tony and Mariette. No, it's not. Okay. And now we're good. Yeah. No, I thought they used the
right,
ladder. I thought they used the ladder really well.
and yeah,
Mhm.
because and I always think of, Tevye and the nightmare scene and
Right. Oh,
everything.
yes, of course. Yeah.
Yes, because 'cause I've seen that now a much taller one. I mean, they found the perfect one, and it was very stable. Because
Hmm.
I tend to be fearful for the actress too, but,
Yeah.
it only
Like,
takes one dumb actor to knock that thing over.
uh-huh.
It's like
And
I liked
especially
the
if the
show right
actor
up
has
to
to
the head
sing.
wound. What was that?
Especially if the actor has to sing too.
Yes, yes, which they had to do the entire time.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought a lot of the set changes worked really well,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, I was much closer to the, murders,
Yes, you
because
would be.
how that was placed. And I was surprised it wasn't distracting once people went underneath. I was
Mm-hmm.
afraid there'd be a lot of noise, and there wasn't.
No, there actually, at least from where I was, there was no noise at all. You
Yeah,
know.
I thought the actors, were very professional in that way. So overall and I thought they used the space very well. They were spread out. I could generally see things. Uh, yeah, I thought overall it was good, and I think we talked about the voices were, quite strong for
Mm-hmm.
most of the cast. I was
Mm-hmm.
pretty impressed
Yeah. Yeah. Strong voices.
on a not so easy show. Um I do
Yeah.
love that first note that goes, "Oh, this is not this is not your dad's musical," or whatever, like, that
Right.
first
Right.
oh my gosh, it's abrasive.
Yeah. And I think, if you've not been to a Fly North production before and you don't know the space, we're talking about a
Yeah.
space that is fairly long, not terribly deep, but deep enough. But it's not a huge space. So obviously, when they do a show like Sweeney Todd, they have to reduce things like the ensemble. And I thought that was very interesting because I think this is maybe the fourth Sweeney I've seen. The last time I saw it was on the huge Muni stage, and I will say I loved that production too. But obviously, you're going to fit a lot more people on the Muni
Just a
stage.
few more. Yeah.
You're going to fit a lot more people on stage in London, on stage in New York. And so I was a little curious going in, like what my impression was going to be of a reduced ensemble. When I looked at the program, basically what we're looking at is one person on a part, and then sometimes named characters are participating in the ensemble as well. But Sondheim has the justifiably earned reputation of having very difficult music to sing, and it
Yes,
is
yes.
difficult to sing. So one of the things that really stood out to me, I, I'm not gonna lie, I like the larger ensemble approach better,
Mhm.
but I really have to take my hat off to these people that were doing one on a part because they were such solid musicians, you know.
Yes.
Um, Everybody knew their notes. Like, boy, they knew them inside and out, and they were solid singing them. They were solid being just the one person on a part. Um, and I think if you're not a singer, I you probably don't realize how difficult, how daunting, and sometimes how terrifying that can be. I don't remember her name, and I'm just going to mention her because generally, what we can hear the best in ensembles where you've got a lot of tight harmonies going on, we can generally hear the highest voice and the lowest
Right.
voice, you
Right.
know,
Yes. Yes.
and that high singing goes very high sometimes. And again, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the ensemble person who did it, but she was rock solid. But when she would go for those high notes, which were amazing, I would think, I'm so glad it's you and not me, because I that that's
Great.
that's scarier than people think it is, like I think that could actually be more daunting to me than being one of the the larger roles.
Absolutely.
Excuse
Well,
me.
yeah, and it's not like somebody's not going to hear that note one way or another.
The one thing I would say is obviously when you have one person on a part, they are singing differently than if they were in an ensemble. So
Yes,
um
that's
I
true. That's true.
I heard a lot more, and I think it's necessary when there's only one person on a part. I heard a lot more straight tone singing than you might hear if you had a larger ensemble. So it gives a very different feel to the music that we're listening to, and I think that's fine because also, we've already talked about the space is different than what we're used to
Yes. Yeah.
seeing. So, everything about this production is not going to be your typical Sweeney, and I think that's just fine. But really, I want to congratulate the ensemble members because, man, there are some harmonies that are super super tight, and you might be singing just one step or a half step away from the person next to you, and everybody was so solid. I
Well, and
was,
I
I
will
was
I will say the thing that happens when a good stage manager has to catch you on some of that because with Sondheim, there's of course with any musical, there's a few notes where you're like, "Holy crap, that was impressive. That's a very hard note."
mhm.
But these have the difference in tempo, the changes, the pitch changes that are a half step instead of it was gonna be a 3 or a 5, but it's not, and he does it on purpose, or just to make this not always abrasive, sometimes beautiful, but just a little off. And um, I've been called out by a stage manager that's going, you changed that pitch. And you're like, oh my God, I did. It's like a note. It's like a line where I knew the specific word and I've used a synonym and I've used it for the last three rehearsals. And
And now that's the new that's the
that
new
has become what's in my head. And as soon
right.
as I'm told, I know, but I think that could easily happen in Sondheim. And that's where I thought as an ensemble, especially as a small ensemble where you can't just cover up
Mm-mm.
the Barney Fife, if you remember those
Mhm. Yeah,
episodes of
yeah,
Barney
yeah.
Fife
No,
singing. Yes.
yeah.
You can't just cover that. And I thought that was particularly strong. I think everybody should see Sweeney just about every time they can see it.
I do too.
Or
Personally,
any
it's my favorite Sondheim. I don't know about other people, but Sweeney is
I'd say.
Sweeney is the Sondheim I love the most.
And well, there's a lot though too, because the one that you just can't seem to see much anymore, Assassins. That
Assassins.
just because it's always like, damn, it's anyway, it's an
That's a
interesting
great
piece.
show too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I know, and so that's why I think you need to see it. So everybody should go see it. I thought there were just a number of talented performers in this. I always like to see the takes on the characters, and I was about to
Yes.
say,
Uh-huh.
um, anyway, so everybody's good. We don't have time to go into everybody's performance, but specifically, you wanted to mention there's a YouTube video. It's called
Yeah.
Miscast Mrs. Lovett, Lansbury versus Carter versus Lapone, and I don't. Yeah, it's not. It's a misleading title. You said a miscast, Mrs. Lovett.
It's a misleading title because what he's doing, it's very well. I'm no spoiler alerts. He has already chosen who he thinks the best Mrs.
The
Lovett is,
superior, of course.
right? But it's a very interesting comparison. I think Mrs. Lovett is. a far more difficult role to do than most people think. I think if you talk to anyone who has sung Mrs. Lovett, they will tell you it sits in the worst part of my voice, where I'm constantly having to choose between
Got it.
chest voice, mix, head voice, and um, options that I don't know if smaller companies like Fly North or any small company has. But it's interesting to note that most of the clips that we see, Lansbury, Carter, and Lupone are always singing in three different keys. You know, they're that important,
Ah,
and their
yes.
places have the kind of budgets that they can pay to have that kind of work done. So each one of those great
Good.
artists was able to choose the keys that work best for them. And I don't know how that works with smaller companies. I don't know if all of these published keys arrive in the packet or just the original published
I
keys. So I
I
know
know
nothing
I was
about that.
never I was never offered another, key. I was like, "Well,
Um,
good luck hitting that one, Troy. Good."
I remember a friend of mine was doing an internship where he was kind of not, I don't think he was officially assistant music director, but let's say unofficially, for when the Rep did Follies. That was
Oh, okay.
their 50th anniversary, right? He said Nancy Opal, for her big song, he said, I had to transpose it into five different keys on the spot for the rehearsal. The music director and Nancy made the final decision. What key is Nancy going to sing this song in? You know? And it's great.
Wow.
Again, it's great if you're a large company and you have that ability to do that. But I think it's a fascinating video because I think you can see we're looking at, if not the three most iconic Mrs. Lovett, certainly three iconic Mrs. Lovetts,
Yeah.
and even they have to make choices. And you can see, because you're always watching the same clip back to back. In
Yeah.
this part, like Angela Lansbury, that just fits her voice very nicely. Ooh, Helena Bonham Carter, you're having to think on this part, or oh,
Yeah.
look what Patty did to get around that. And
Yeah.
they're all brilliant, but part of their brilliance is they understand how their voices work and what they need to do.
Exactly, and
And
yeah, and it's gotta feed the performance, not your ego, which is one of the things that trip a lot of people up.
mhm,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I think it's almost always hard to overcome the initial performance of anything because that's the one that, sets, it's the template, sort of, so to
it's the
speak.
template, and I think especially if you're my age, I was a senior in high school when Sweeney Todd came out, so you know, it was on the news all the time. I didn't see that cast. I wish I had, but you were constantly like hearing about it, watching clips of it on TV.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't have
YouTube
internet
or
in
anything.
anything in the late 1970s, but you would hear those names, Angela Lansbury, Len Carey, over and over and over again. For me, those are the iconic characters.
Right, absolutely.
Though I will say, when I saw Sweeney Todd at the Muni, is that already 3 summers ago? I don't remember if it was 3 or 4 years
It was
ago.
a while ago, yeah.
Oh, that Sweeney and that Mrs. Lovett, like I didn't want the show to end. I wanted the night to go on forever. I loved them so much.
Yeah,
You
and if
know.
you play it if the person plays it truthfully and earnestly, they can create a character that you
Hmm.
maybe you don't fall in love with the character if they're awful, but you could still with their performance and go, "That's it wasn't the same, but it wasn't wrong. It was definitely
Hmm.
right."
Right.
Because you bring stuff to the role, and everything else is just imitation, which we don't wanna see. I think we ought to wrap this up. I think
Yeah.
the thing is, I think Robert, you and I could just talk for hours about
Yeah,
theater,
that's a
and
problem, isn't
people are
it?
like,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So I suggest everybody go see the show. I think it's a
Yeah, go
really
see
cool
it.
performance. It's Fly North Theatrical did a great job with the space. There's some fantastic casting choices and performances, and you need to go see it right
Can I
away.
say can I say just
Yeah,
one more thing?
Robert,
Because
please
I,
go
I
ahead.
thought that I thought this was so funny. In the intermission, I was talking to Bradley Rolfe, who also, works as works as bartender, food server, in the intermission.
Right, right.
And and I asked him if I could have a priest pie, and he laughed and he said, "No, you cannot." And he said, "It's actually in the contract that if you are performing Sweeney in any kind of venue that serves food or drinks, you cannot have any food or drinks named after anything that makes reference to the show.
That is interesting.
And I thought, sure, since 1979, how many different places have wanted to offer like a priest pie or some kind of drink that
Absolutely.
has the word blood
Yes.
in it, or
Absolutely. Blood
something.
wine or
Yeah,
whatever, blood orange
right.
this or
But nope, can't do it.
I especially that time and Sondheim, and who wrote the book? I forgot. We just said it, didn't we? Anyway, it doesn't necessarily matter. But at, uh the art is art, and I think I'm sure they
Hugh
felt like
Wheeler.
that would belittle their production, you know? I
hmm
mean, it is talking about killing people. So although they make fun and light of it, it's
Maybe they should just talk about royalties. Like you have to produce sales receipts, and they
right.
get royalties off of the
Right.
preach buys.
Exactly. The new hostess
Right.
Sondheim cake.
Exactly, because in the case of Bradley and Collins Place, if Greenfinch, it's open all the time. You can go there and eat, you can go there and drink
Right.
every single day, and they serve pizza, which many people call pies. And
Oh, it's
the people
true.
in New York, I know, they almost always refer to a pizza as a
As a
pie.
pie, yeah.
So I thought, oh, that'd be perfect. You could have a priest pie, you could have this kind of pie.
Oh my gosh, I like
But
it.
no,
I like it.
can't have it.
All right.
Anyway.
As we wrap up here, let me just say, please check out St. Louis onstage.com and catch us next time as we talk about whatever fantastic performance that we talk about. Take it easy,
mhm.
Robert, and
You
take it
too.
easy,
Good
St.
to see you
Louis.
again. Bye
Yes,
bye.
and hey, go see a play.
Yeah.